Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of In My Opinion. My name is John Lim.
My name is Lester Punk.
Yes,
John
and
Teoh.
today I have to introduce myself as John Lim because there is a John Teoh on our show.
So confusing. Just before we rolled the cameras, we were asking ourselves, how am I going to address John? And I've already done this multiple times where I say John and then they ask me which John.
Correct.
I'm like TSL John. But
Correct. And for the other intellectuals that have no problem differentiating which John is whatever, please follow us on Instagram and follow us on our Telegram channels and everywhere else that you can find us. Do remember to give us a like and subscribe to our things. And today we have John Teoh.
Yes, and
Hello.
John is also from the Socially Awkward podcast, the same podcast as last week. Last week we had Emma on to talk a little bit about homeschooling. John is also homeschooled, but today we're going to have him on to talk about a whole other topic because he's a creative at heart, and so is John Lim and me. So we are both creatives at heart, so we wanted to do something regarding the creative industry and our creative pursuits. So yes. Is there anything else we want to plug? Nothing else, right?
No, you can actually follow the Socially Awkward podcast. We will leave their link in the description box below, just like last week.
Yes.
And without further ado, let's talk about today's topic, man.
Let's go.
Maybe you give us some background first, John Teoh. What you do?
Yeah, so as Alistair mentioned, I was homeschooled. I was homeschooled since primary school, all the way up to graduating secondary school. And after that, I served my NS. And then I'm currently working as a videographer. I do lighting, do a lot of stuff actually. But then on the side, I'm a videographer, photographer, and I'm also the producer of the Socially Awkward podcast.
Ah, interesting.
So, would you say the Socially Awkward podcast is kind of like your side hustle?
It's the biggest side thing I have currently. I wouldn't really call it a hustle because it doesn't make me any money currently.
Yeah. Actually, John and I were discussing a little bit beforehand also because we were asking ourselves we were saying John said he didn't have a side hustle. Then I was like, isn't IMO kind of like a hustle? Then he was like, but we're not earning any money. Then I was like, huh.
Yeah.
That's kind of true.
So I agree with you, John Teoh. You were mentioning about how it's not earning us money, so it's more like a hobby lah. But of course, to our audience, if you would like to support us and make it an actual side hustle,
Yes.
I mean, I won't say no lah.
Any cash is welcome.
But I think
every month help me and Lester top up his link. Also okay.
Yes, yeah. A lot of things goes into these productions. These lights and cameras don't come out of nowhere. But I think there's
yes.
whenever, which comes to the first, I guess the big conundrum whenever you're starting a side hustle or a hobby. Especially nowadays, I don't know whether other creatives out there would agree, but every time you do a creative endeavor, let's say post it on Instagram, you take a lot of photos, you draw a lot, etc. There's always a few people who will say hey, why not you sell your stuff? Or why not you start to do commission to work? Either freelance photography or if not just do your own drawings or whatever the case might be lah. So I think that's the first thing that you have to first kind of get into or ask yourself is whether you want to earn money off of it in the first place. Was there actually John Lim, John TSL, do you ever was money ever a thing that you considered when you're doing IMO?
Okay. Honestly, right, when you first asked me to do IMO and HTHT with you, right?
Yeah.
I never thought of it as something that will make money.
Yeah.
That was not the intent. Right, and the thing about it is that I told myself, okay, do you know the nature of social media and the fact that I work in an industry that works very closely with social media in terms of YouTube, Facebook, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I know that there is potential for monetization if we are able to sustain it and we're able to appear marketable in the eyes of advertisers, because after all, on social media, most of the time, people monetize with advertisers, right? So this was something that I knew that had a bit of potential, but at the same time, I never banked on it being the the central reason why we did IMO. So for me, every time you talk about monetizing or making a side hustle profitable, right? My approach has always been I am more of a creative at heart than a business person. I will do the thing regardless of whether it will make money or not. And then if it does make money or whatever, then that's the bonus.
So
and
like
then when it actually becomes a sustainable thing, then it becomes a business. You get what I mean? So business is like still 2 steps away.
So you're more focused on like the creative endeavor or like the creative fulfillment as compared to like just the monetary like support you.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe the
monetary
best
things you
example I can give you is like I started TikTok recently, right?
get. Yeah.
So to all the viewers out there, please follow me on TikTok. No, but the thing is, like I make TikTok videos which are in the form of videos that I enjoy, right? And in the at the back of my head, 2 steps away, I know that TikTok is eventually going to become a platform that may start to see more advertising, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And that is just the bonus. As far as I'm concerned, I just like to every day play new music for whoever is watching and make coffee because why not?
Why not, right? Yeah. Actually, for John, socially awkward John, socially awkward John sounds damn weird. Yeah. But like for you,
why you cannot just John Lim, John Teoh, or John Edward, John Teoh? It's so
John
easy.
Teoh. Oh my god, I keep forgetting.
ESL John is 4 syllables. John
Guys,
Edward is 3.
This week has been tough, man. It's been tiring. Okay, I couldn't. But John Teoh, actually, for the socially awkward podcast, when you made it, like, was monetary, like, I guess, benefits something that you thought about? Is it something that was at the back of your mind, or like not even consider, like something you didn't even consider when you first started?
I think as John Lim said, as a creative, your first instinct is just, I want to do it because that's what I enjoy. It's an outlet for me. And so when I started, it was really just about wanting to improve my skills in audio editing and just being able to do something that is more long-term than like make one short film, make one video, that kind of thing. So monetization definitely wasn't at the core of why I started it, but then over like having done it for about 1.5 years now, it's something that I've begun to consider, because as with every passion project, you're going to need a way to sustain it. So unless you have got a job on the side, so currently I have a job right now, but then once I go and study in August, I'm not going to have a job anymore. So in order to sustain this kind of passion project, I'm going to need some way for it to earn itself some money in order for it to continue.
Yeah, and that's like the ideal case, right? If your passion project pays for itself. Yeah,
exactly.
But actually, like, that's something that I've also considered before. Like, IMO. Actually, okay, honestly speaking, when I first started so for the people who just joined us when we are in Overthink, our channel used to be named Lester Pang. It used to be named after me only, because it was supposed to be just my channel. And it just so happens that John somehow got scammed into coming on a weekly podcast with me. So only the second half that he started to name it Overthink, because you realize that Lester Pang doesn't completely encapsulate what the channel is. So
correct.
Like when I first started the YouTube channel though, like monetary benefits or like getting money out of it was like completely an idea that I didn't even entertain. Like,
yeah, right?
It wasn't even on my mind. Like, I didn't even know how you earn money from this. I kind of know because I worked in TSL before, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, TSL is so big. They have like, their YouTube is like 200k at a time, 200k subscribers. I was like, there's no way in hell I'm reaching 200k. And I know there's like some YouTube AdSense thing, and like you have to join the YouTube partner program. But even that seemed like a very, very big, lofty goal that I would like, okay, 1,000 subscribers doesn't make any sense to me as of now lah. So to me, it's just, let's just do it creatively. And then somehow along the way, you just manage to gain a bit of traction. And then now, like even now, like we are not, just to be like completely honest with everyone, like we're not earning any money from this. These videos are not even monetized, like full stop, even though I technically can. But there's like some technical issues with Google AdSense to the point where I can no longer get money. So like I am even if I get money, I also won't earn much lah. So it's like I'm not earning any money from this. Like absolutely zero.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I wish I can say I earn at least 20 cents a month, but I can't. It's $0. So like
there was a time Alistair could buy a can of Coke a month.
There was a time. But that time is gone, man, because of some technical issues like Google AdSense get your shit together. But anyways, so I don't think monetary consideration was something that I actually like fully thought about until recently. recently, then John and I started thinking a little bit more. Then we're like, hey, do you want to start to do merch? Do you want to start to do like, try to monetize a little bit more, maybe start a Patreon, etc. So, but the reason why is because, as what John Teoh said, we want to sustain this passion project.
Yes.
Like, there are a lot of hidden costs that people don't see. And that's why we want to be able to monetize. But I think when it comes to the monetization does come with I guess, a lot more pressure, which is why I think if you're first starting out as a side hustle, my first advice is like, don't rush into the monetization part. And I think a lot of people do that. Like when they first start like a YouTube channel or they start a new creative endeavor and they realize that they're gaining a bit of traction and they're gaining like I guess a bit of attention, whether Instagram, whatever, their first thought is like, how am I going to earn money from this? And my pitch to you guys is don't think how to earn money so fast, because I think the beauty of being small and upcoming is that you get to like experiment, and sometimes that means doing content that is not very monetizable lah. And I think if your whole thing is trying to monetize it as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, I think it will kill the fun a lot. And
see, that's the thing. I think this doesn't apply to just social media content. You see, the reason why we talk a lot about social media content is because the three of us clearly have that in our background, right? And I mean, if it's not immediately obvious, but like the thing about it is that side hustles can come in various shapes and forms. Like a lot of people are picking up pottery as a side hustle right now. A lot of people are picking up dance, teaching fitness classes like spin or yoga as a side hustle. There are people who are picking up all sorts of things. And I think that's what that logic applies to these people as well. So like for example, if you talk about I am a home baker, for example, right? If I do home bakery, and that's when you can experiment to create your own recipes. And if you are sort of using this as your side hustle to try to gain income, then that might be a little bit more pressure on you to hit your quota, KPI, or your orders, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a tiring thing. But at the same time, also like if you go and all in on something like home bakery, then it becomes your main hustle, and that's when you don't really have any more room to be flexible, right?
Yeah, when you want to start a side hustle and then you want to go immediately into monetization, I think a lot of people don't realize that when you want to do it by yourself, there's a lot of, you got to take on all the other roles. It's not just, oh yeah, I paint and then I sell. There's a whole lot of, you got to take your own photos, you got to market yourself. After that, you got to be your own supplier, buy your own materials, and how you going to make sure that these art pieces get to the people who buy them on time. So at the start, it may seem like, oh, very easy. I do what I like and then I sell it, I get money for it. But then when it comes down to the actual doing, there's a lot of like hidden roles. So like when I started the podcast, like I was the one running the cameras, I was the one editing, I was the one producing, I was the one script writing, everything. And it was a lot more than I expected. So over time, then slowly learning how to give away some of these roles, train other people to take over so that it's not so tiring for myself. And then slowly that's how it became more sustainable for me individually lah.
Yeah.
I think for IMO, it's the same thing lah. Like I hate to rehash this. I said this like 1,000 times in the last 15 minutes, but I've said, we say it before, but I'll say it again. There are a lot of hidden things that you guys don't see, and hidden costs and hidden time here and there. Like a lot of people will just think that like, okay, they're taking it for granted. Let's say a thumbnail, okay, like a YouTube thumbnail. Yeah, you just do a video and then you upload it and you add a thumbnail. I just as a gauge, I spent 2 hours on last week's thumbnail. Like just slowly photoshopping the thumbnail, slowly but surely doing it. I spent 2 hours on that. And in fact, I spent more time editing a thumbnail than editing the video itself. Because the video itself was so much easier to edit. So a lot of times people will think that like, oh, you just do this and then you do this and you do this and then you do that. And that's the problem, is that when people do the and then you do this and then you do this, because I think people don't fully understand how tough each step is. For example, like clients and all that, like because we have worked in TSL before, we know this. Like pitching to clients and getting clients to agree with your concept and being able to convince clients of like your role and your like I guess your target audience and your ability to convince your target audience is a huge skill in of itself. and it's a huge barrier to a lot of people because I mean it's not something that you can take for granted, even though a lot of people just do. Like they will just say like, oh okay, yeah, sure, of course, you just just convince the client and the client will sponsor you. But there's that whole part of just convince the client is not something you can take for granted lah. And there's a lot of other things that goes into it. You need to sit in for client meetings for like a few hours. Sometimes clients are unhappy with you as usual, and you have to deal with it lah. And that's just part and parcel of life. But the people who are watching us, like you guys, don't necessarily see it. And even this like whole collaboration, it wasn't like I just texted them and they said okay, and then the next thing we know we're on a Discord, because it took like me texting them and then they didn't reply me for 2 weeks, and then they finally replied me and then I replied back, and then we hopped on a Zoom call together, and then we talked for like 1 or 2 hours about the potential topics, and I try to get a feel of like, who they are as people and what I can potentially talk about, and then get them on a Discord. And even this Discord call took like 10 minutes to set up. So like there's like a whole thing that goes behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see lah. And I think that's something you need to consider. I think monetizing your content so fast, right, takes away a lot of the fun, takes away a lot of the rewards. And if your whole like motivation to do your side hustle is monetary like benefits or monetary like a side income, right, you will burn out really, really quick, because this is definitely the money you get is definitely not enough to sustain whatever you're doing creatively, or even as whatever it is, like pottery or bakery or anything.
Yeah, it's true. And the thing about it is that I feel that the best way to approach side hustles, right, is to first begin it as if the money is not a thing. Don't involve money. Just go into it because it is interesting and you are interested. And then if you go and approach any side hustle in that way, right, it could be very simple. Like the best example would still be home bakery. It could be just you want to make for friends, you want to make for whatever, you want to make for, and that will result in you creating something that you believe in and creating something that you enjoy as well. And you will realize whether you truly enjoy it or not. And everyone talks about sustainability in the form of payout, but there's also sustainability in the form of fulfillment. You like doing something, right? You will be able to keep doing something. Like, can you imagine yourself baking for the whole day, for X number of hours, for X number of months, X number of years? If you can, then do that first, regardless of your payout. And then eventually you reach a point whereby not only are you sustainably able to do that, you're also sustainably able to support that, then go and find ways to make money out of it. But that being said, also, I also am a firm believer of when people do things, they don't necessarily need to have it become a side hustle.
So what's that line for you? Like,
I think for me, like I said, the first step that it has to cross is if it can cross into the bonus portion. So I give you an example. I do photography, I do videography. People contact me for like things like weddings. Right? So that one is the occasional referral side hustle situation. But most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of whether these things happen, I can still confidently say that I wouldn't mind spending my free time doing nothing but shooting and making photos and making videos.
Okay.
So for me, like for example, you see we're on camera right now, we're talking. I shoot for my Instagram, I shoot videos for my TikTok. It's the same, isn't it? Right? You still get to create these things. I mean, you don't shoot mock weddings. No one does that. But like, if a mock wedding somehow appeared, I mean, I wouldn't mind going down to shoot it. So it happens regardless of whether there are people who use the skill for money. And that's why I say that for me, my approach is very simple. It has to be a bonus first. Can make money, then say. If not, right, I will do it just for its sake. Like personally, I give you an example. Recently, I also dabble in digital art. I'm terrible at it. But the thing is, that's the thing, you see. Regardless of whether I'm good or bad at it, I just like it.
Yeah.
Right? And because you just like it, and then you just do it, and then your intention is never to make money. Whether money comes your way or not, it makes no difference. If it does, say. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's the way that I think anyone who is in a sustainable economic position should approach side hustle. I mean, most of the time you should be in a sustainable economic position to even consider side hustles.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like, I guess, financially like a bit more less privileged than us, then I guess you have to think a lot more practically. And side hustles probably is not the way to think practically, because this and as impractical as it gets lah. And
correct.
So yeah, but I do think that like a lot of people who start a side hustle, or like a hobby, they do feel that pressure because they see everyone doing it as well. Like I remember when I started a YouTube channel, and I see like people like Daniel Tamago out there, and he's like monetizing his content already. He's making merch, and then like recently, our very good friend Daryl Yaki on YouTube, subscribe to him, but he's doing university content. He's also getting like, I guess, clients, and he's also going to try to start his own merch, and he's trying to monetize his content as well. So like when I see people like this, I do, and I also like, I guess, I look at like content like from Gary Vaynerchuk and stuff like that. So then he's always over there like telling people like, oh, monetize, like, oh, this here what you should do, here's what you should do with your content, whatever. And when I see that, I do get a bit pressurized. But just if this makes anyone out there feel better about their creative pursuits, just to give some context, John and I have been doing this for like 3 years already. 3 years?
Oh, has it been?
2.5 already. It has been 2.5 years.
Jeez.
So we have been doing okay. The channel started 2.5 years ago. We have done IMO for 1.5. Right. So the first year is like kind of like we are screwing around now. So properly we have done it for 1.5 years.
Are we older than COVID?
We are older than COVID, 100%.
Nice.
We are older than COVID, and we have not earned a single cent. So like,
no, we got that time you got
0.
1 Coke can. What?
No, the problem is that I get the Coke can, but the Google never pay me the Coke can money. So the Coke can money is there. I just never get to see it. So like that's why. So it's as good as I never get a Coke can.
It's just numbers on your screen.
It's just that they say they have $300 in my account, but I cannot take out the $300. So like,
why?
I actually
why cannot?
Some weird technical thing. Like they sent me a pin and the pin never arrived. Then I'm like, what the hell? Why did the pin not arrive? And then it's supposed to mail me the pin to like verify my address, but it never came lah. But however, another story for another day. But basically, I'm not earning any money, and we have not seen a single cent, right? Legit, not a single cent ever since we started this. And like, if that makes anyone feel better, like we are doing this for this long and we're still doing it. And
honestly, I from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my heart, I think it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
And to our audience who clenched their butt cheeks a little after Alistair said all that, right? We will still do, regardless of whether it makes us money or not, because this is what we enjoy doing. You know, we get to speak to interesting people like other John here. And you were just saying?
Yeah, I think the key is don't compare yourself to other people. There's always the tendency to look at your role models. Maybe it's someone who interested you in the art or the whatever thing you're interested in. But yeah, it's always very easy to compare and say, oh, that's where I want to be. I want to be there right now and I'm just starting out. But there's been a lot of hard work that has gone behind the scenes. And everyone's journey is going to be different. Some people make it within a year and then they're like super famous TikTok stars, YouTube stars, whatever, YouTube influencers. But some people take much longer. They take like 5 years, 10 years. So it's more about enjoying the journey, slowly growing, and then eventually, if you get there, it's good. If you don't, then it's just you're doing it because you enjoy it, not because it's your goal to get famous.
Yeah.
I always like to look at Wong Fu. So I don't know about the two of you, but I used to watch a lot of YouTube. I still do. And one of the biggest inspiration for me wanting to start a YouTube channel ever since I was young was Wong Fu Productions. And Wong Fu Productions has always been, I would say, criminally underrated in the YouTube world because of, I mean, they don't have a lot of subscribers like in the grand scheme of things. Like in the big YouTube space, I think they're only at like 3 million or 4 million, which is quite ridiculous. Seeing that people like Mr. Beast are already at 50. I'm not saying Mr. Beast doesn't deserve 50. I'm saying that Wong Fu probably deserves a bit more than 3 lah. So like every time I see that, and they always do this 1 million, they hit the 1 million subscribers, and they did this whole video about how they took a damn long time to reach 1 million. They took 10 years to reach 1 million. And everyone else took like 9 months or like a year, and they reached 1 million already. And the fact that they still do it despite it. And knowing that, like, kind of made me feel a little bit better about Overthink. I'm not saying we're the next Wong Fu Productions, and no one will ever be the next Wong Fu Productions in my heart. But like, it does make me feel a little bit better that like, okay, you can bite your time, and everyone has their own time to shine.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own time to eventually, everyone will come out eventually if you work hard and you're nice to people. Eventually good things will happen to you. So but regardless, as what John said, I think if your whole motivation is going big, becoming famous, getting money, it's not going to end well for you. Like, cause, these are things that are external. So every time I make goals with John, like for Overthink, I always try not to put a number to it. I always try not to put factors that are not within our control. So every time we make goals, it's never, let's get 7,000 subscribers by the end of the year, or let's get this amount of money, or like, let's make this amount of money, etc., etc. It has always been, let's make a new segment. Let's do a live stream. Let's start live streaming our podcast. Let's try to go to Twitch. Let's try to do merch, all that stuff. It has never been anything else. So in that, I think that way you are able to, like, I guess, manage the expectations a little bit, and also sustain going forward every time I want to do something that is monetizable but may not be something I fully enjoy, I ask myself, will I want to do this for the next 1 year? And more often than not, the answer is no. And that's where I stop myself. And I think that's what you have to ask yourself as well. Like, would you want to continue this every week for 1 year? Or do I want to continue this every week for the next few years? And if the answer is no, then I think that's a very good litmus test to, like, I guess, stop yourself and like start to do something your own way and try to maybe treat it more as a hobby. If it becomes monetizable, good for you, but if not, it's fine. Because it really sucks to have a whole hobby get destroyed just because you're trying to make money out of it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there are people who have that experience, right?
Yeah.
And I think this goes to whole hustle culture and like a bit toxic culture behind it. But before that, why don't we take a quick camera break? Because it's 28 minutes now. Let's take a quick camera break and we'll come back with hustle culture and our thoughts about it.
We'll be right back.
BRB, guys.
We are back from our camera break. Now, before we go into hustle culture, I just want to add on, because I know we've been talking a lot about like social media, or like rather content creation as a side hustle. I want to talk about something practical for everyone else, you know, who produce other things for the side hustle. It could be like producing bakery, or producing or teaching, for all your matter, teaching tuition as a side hustle. I just want to say that like you need to basically weigh the in versus the out, like how much you have to put into it versus how much you have to take out. So there are some side hustles which are very low commitment, and a good example is maybe talking about things like teaching tuition or doing TikTok. Those are very low commitment, very low buy-in kind of situations. As compared to talking about side hustles like doing freelance photography, that one costs you significantly more. And if your side hustle does not compensate for that, you are essentially working extra to spend more money. Right? So there's no profit. There's no profit to be had. So the main thing you have to realize is that when you pick a hobby, right, and you try to monetize it, when you try to make it a side hustle, right, you need to make sure that it can minimally try to pay for itself.
Yeah. I mean,
if not, right, it's gonna be really tough. Because can you imagine if, let's say, you be a home baker and you wanted it to be a side hustle, right? You buy $200 worth of ingredients, you sell one cookie at $10, but you cannot sell 20.
Yeah.
Then that's where you have, you know, sunk money into it, and that's when you have to go back to making it a better hobby first. You cannot think of it as I'm buying all these things so that I can make money out of it. No, you buy it because you like to make cookies.
Yeah, so I think it's not necessarily a bad thing to encounter all these sort of problems. Maybe it's a sign that there's something wrong or there's something new that you need to learn before you can continue to make it something that's monetizable.
Yes.
So it's if you look at it as a setback, it's like, oh, my whole hobby is gone. Then it's like, okay, I gotta find another hobby to go pick up. But if you look at it as like, this is something that I need to overcome, it's like a little stepping stone for me. Then you get over in order to move to the next level. Then I think it's a lot more. It will motivate you to go further rather than just seeing a setback as okay, that's the end of the road. So it's about going back to the drawing board, refining your process, see what went wrong, and then go at it again. Because I mean, if it's something that you enjoy to do, that if it's something you enjoy doing, then take another stab at it.
Agreed.
I think I think there's a very big difference, I think, between social media creation and like other, I guess, forms of side hustles. And I can't really speak much for like the other side hustles like tuition, let's say teaching tuition, because I never done that before. But I think you do have to, like, I guess, weigh it out. If let's say, even if it's not monetary wise, like if you want to use that same like logic with like content creation, let's say, like the fact we are not earning money means that we should probably not be spending that much time on it. And because we try our best, but we shouldn't be spending that much time on it because you're not earning any money lah. And the enjoyment can only, I guess, motivate us that much and keep it going for that long. Especially if, let's say, if our workflow is like a very, very difficult workflow, we won't be motivated to keep that going. So one of the priorities at Overthink is how do we make our jobs as easy as possible, like post-production wise, pre-production wise. Like the easier it is, right, and the more streamlined it is, like the better. And we have done this for a very long time, guys, but we have gotten to a point where like I can essentially come out with an episode in like 2 hours. Like if I really chiong lah, I think I can go from like the start of the episode, like edit the video, do the social media stuff, and do the thumbnail in 2 hours if I really want to sit down and chiong. So it's because like we recognize that if I have to take 3 days to do this, right, or 4 days out of my 7-day work week, and I already have to either work or school, then I won't be doing this. It's just not sustainable. You get what I mean, John? Doesn't make any sense.
No, actually, I don't necessarily agree with what you say.
Really?
Because the thing about it is,
I confirm
yeah,
won't do
because
it.
that's the thing. That's the thing. If that's the approach to your side thing, we don't call it a hustle, a passion project. If that's the approach to a passion project, and if it takes too many days, you won't do it, then it is not something that you are truly valuing as just a passion project first, right? And that's when it doesn't become sustainable. So it's once again a balance of pros and cons, you see. If the time commitment is high, right? Most of the time people will say, oh, it's too much, don't do it. But on the flip side, right, if it gives you enough fulfillment, do it anyway. Like I give you an example. Wow. If let's say I shoot my TikTok, and then I like doing TikTok content, for example, and it takes me 1 whole month to do 1 TikTok video, and then after that I post it, the engagement like trash because I'm a nobody on the app. 1 month later, people maybe find some things irrelevant, or I do something that everyone, most of the people would say, that's a lousy investment of my time.
Yeah.
But if it gives me fulfillment and I like what I'm doing and I don't care about anything else besides creating that, then that's perfectly fine as a fashion project.
I do think that fulfillment can only get you that far. If let's say you spend full 4 days on it, I don't think fulfillment alone will give you full 4 days worth of motivation.
This is where I 100% disagree with you.
Really? I cannot.
Yes.
If you tell me IMO, I have to sit down for full 4 days to do it, right?
No, that means, you see, what it means is very simple. IMO is not the thing that is equal in exchange to full 4 days. I give you an example.
Definitely not.
There may be some people who like to do painting. They like to paint mural-size objects.
Yeah.
That one will possibly take 1 week to finish 1 mural. Or if they are less skilled, 1 whole month to finish a mural.
Yeah.
And they may go through hundreds and thousands of spray cans. And this is where that value does not necessarily have to be pegged to what people say is the value of your time. And this is where I feel
that's true.
we can segue into our discussion about hustle culture.
Yeah, let's go about it. I can kind of see what you're trying to say about that also lah. I think I do think that like the value of your time is up to you to decide. And unfortunately, like as what John Lim said about like the hustle culture thing, a lot of people think that if you're not productive with your time means that you're wasting your time and you're just like whatever, you should stop it and you should like reevaluate your whole life decisions and everything. Which as much as I think there's a limit to what I do for this, there is a limit to what I will do for this channel in regards to like my time. I do think that the whole hustle culture mindset about like, oh, you have to get something out of a certain amount of time and that value must be like quantifiable and must be a certain like socially accepted value, right? It's not true lah. It's really up to you. And you can get a value out of something based on whatever you want. Like it doesn't, like as what I say, like painting, let's say, like honestly speaking, I would never want to paint. But if painting for 1 month, like one painting a month really, really fulfills you, I say go ahead, do it. Because like that makes sense. But if you want to paint and you don't think that painting like in that much detail fulfills you and you rather jump from project to project, like every day you paint one or every week you paint one, and then that's how you get your fulfillment, then up to you as well. And that's within the same social media creation realm. I think the parallel can be like there are people who do one short film a month or do one short film every 6 months. And that's what they love because they love the detail, they love the detail editing, they love the sound editing, they love like every small detail, like color grading, etc. And then there are people like me who I cannot focus on so much details and I rather not. And it doesn't give me that same amount of fulfillment. My fulfillment comes from putting out content as much as possible. And because my brain I'm very scatterbrained, I tend to like jump around with my interests. So I cannot like, I guess, focus fully on one thing. So that fulfillment is up to you to decide. I don't think like society should decide that fulfillment for you lah. And I think that's the problem with hustle culture. Is that like they tend to decide that fulfillment for you lah.
And the thing about hustle culture is that everyone that gets put out there and is shown as the paragon of hustle culture, like the person that you should be chasing after, these are all like the success stories. And then but then behind those success stories of hustle culture, there's like 10 other people who have failed that we don't get to see.
Yeah.
So, it's how do you... Yeah, it's idolization in a sense that you are idolizing these people this small percentage of people who have made it. Yeah. And you're not aware of all the other people who have not made it.
Yeah. I think it's okay to have, let's say, role models, right? And I think I totally agree with you. If you, let's say, you idolize only the success stories and are blind to the other parts of the hustle, right? That's when it becomes a little bit complicated and you may find yourself in a very miserable place, right? But the thing about it is I also firmly believe that like the reason why hustle culture has become sort of like a negative thing, right, is because of two things. Okay, first one is because there is this social pressure because of the capitalism or the meritocracy that we live in general and the Western world and the world, is that when you're good at something, people expect you not to do it for free. People expect you to be able to make money out of something that you're good at.
Yeah.
Right? Be it whether you make something look good or whether you're actually good at it. Right? So that's the first thing that makes hustle culture a little bit uncomfortable. The second thing that makes hustle culture a negative thing is because people equate time to X amount of money. And that is a normal association because when we do work in the real world, right, X number of time is equivalent to X number of money. And this is normal during employment because employment has certain rates that if you really go and break it down, you will know how much you're paid by the hour. And people actually peg a lot of their worth based on that. So people with the very capitalistic mindset will wonder why, if you're good at something, firstly, why aren't you charging money for it? And secondly, don't you know that you spend so much time on it, it can have made you this so much money? Those are usually the two sentiments that come with people who are pursuing a passion project, that come at people who are pursuing a passion project. And I think that's the problem with hustle culture in that sense, because not everyone has to, for the lack of a better word, hustle hard at something that makes them money.
Yeah.
There may be some people who work super hard just so that they can learn to ride a bike. There are some people who work super hard just so that they can grow their own plants. You know, so this is where I feel the equating of your worth, of your skill and your time to certain amounts becomes a bit of trouble for people who are pursuing things that they enjoy. Sometimes you do things that you enjoy because you enjoy them, not because you want to make your enjoyment give you money.
Yes. And I think just now when I was talking a little bit about like the me spending one day on IMO, like it's because I feel like that is the fulfillment. That's like the maximum I'll be able to give before I start to feel a bit unhappy. And that amount, that time amount like varies for different person to person. Because my priorities is also with like my relationship. My priorities also with my friends. My priorities also with my family and my school. Like school is important to me because I want to get that shit right. So and work, for example. So IMO for one day, that is it's a priority definitely, but it's like lower on the list. And if I have to spend 2 to 3 days on IMO, I'll be frankly very unhappy. Simply because I don't think I can spend 2 or 3 days every week on this, especially because there's no, I guess, extra monetary thing to supplement the extra 2 days of like non-fulfillment I get out of the day out of the thing. I guess, does that make any sense? Let's say like if 1 day is fulfillment, then if I want to make it 3 days, then you have to pay me 2 days worth of non-fulfillment. You know what? Never mind. It doesn't matter. But it's
flimsy. But yeah, I think I understand what you're trying to say. Very flimsy, but I think I understand what you're trying to say. Because the thing about it is that the thing about it is that hustle culture is such that I feel it has started to invade your view a little bit on how side passion projects are supposed to be. And this is the situation with everyone, you know, when they start to think that, oh, this thing is supposed to do this for me. When, you know, I feel that everyone's approach to passion projects should be the fact that they're interesting and they don't necessarily give you anything back. The whole reason you stepped into them is not because you expect them to give you something back. You expect them to be interesting to do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but I do think that the interest, there's like a limit, no matter what.
There is.
I think John...
And this is why I say flimsy, because let me tell you about the part where I agree with you. Yeah. Okay? Because a lot of times, let's say you talk about producing videos for fun, like now, right? We're producing podcasts for fun, right? When it will extend into funny, long hours that you cannot fit your commitment, cannot fit your perceived fulfillment levels. Very simple. When there are requirements that force you to do that. And those are requirements that most of the time come with money to buy that time.
There you go. Yeah, that's what
That's when I agree with you. That's when I agree with you when it gets not so good.
Yeah.
Right? But to say that if let's say money was no object and you were to approach this project and you do extra time and you put in extra effort, you want to do every small detail with no expectation of money, monetary return, that is how people should approach their passion projects, especially at the start. And if possible, all the time. Because the thing about it is that who are you accountable to, right? Your own interests, your own passion.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's purely a passion project, I can... Like, I give you a good example, okay? Something that is becoming a side hustle, but also mostly a passion project. My Instagram page, when was the last time I post something? It doesn't matter to me if I post it, if I close it, if I open it, if I engage with people or not. It doesn't matter at all. And that, right, is something that people sometimes will ask, how come you never just try to like
make money?
Do influencer things? Because I'm not interested in that. I just want to take photos, put whatever I want, do whatever makes me happy, and that's it. And that is, I feel... that I feel is the essence of how people should approach their interests. You see, I definitely am super interested in producing content on Instagram, but what about the times when I'm not interested? I don't have to be answerable to everyone. I don't have to make sure I post all that kind of thing because it is a passion project. it's not a side hustle, it's a passion project. And that's where I feel the line has to be drawn. When you're ready to transit something from passion project into side hustle is when you have to be comfortable with commitment.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. I think that I guess to me is about like the passion project is about having fun. And whether and you get to decide how having fun is for you. And sometimes some people decide having fun based on like the type of work. Let's say they really hate doing color grading, and I know people who hate doing color grading. But just as people, for people who like don't know me, I have like ever OT'd for like 5 hours color grading one minute video. So I love color grading, and that's fun to me. But to other people, I can understand why you guys absolutely hate it. So that fun, you get to decide it. And you get to decide however you want. Like for example, for me, my fun, like for example, IMO, the way I guess quantify fun is if I spend too much time, then I won't be having fun. No? But to other people, it's a different quantifiable. Maybe it's quantifiable, maybe it's not. It's just a feeling lah. Actually, for John Teoh, like, are you guys starting? Do you start to feel that transition, or are you guys still at the having fun stage?
I think definitely when we first started, it was about having fun, doing more. But then when you try to do it for like a year plus, they realize, okay, having fun is not enough to sustain us. You gotta be committed to your vision of what do you intend to see it. What do you intend to see the podcast become? And then it's the vision that really holds you together, that brings you to where you want to be. Because, yeah, sometimes there are days when I was like, oh, this video very hard to edit. Like, there was something like the audio screwed up or something. Then I have to go and slowly fix it in post. And then it's like, oh, very sad. Why did I choose to do this? I could be doing so many other things.
Oh my goodness.
But then it's like, okay.
I think that
this is something, yeah.
Yeah, I think that like, going along those lines, I think there's like a lot of people think that like passion project means that you're like having fun 100% of the time, and I do think that there are times where you don't have that much fun because there are side things to the project or side things to a hobby that you might not enjoy, but it does come part and parcel of it. Do you think so, John? Like for example, I love videos and I love doing videos, but I absolutely hate handling technical problems. I absolutely hate sometimes like I guess when Premiere Pro crashes on me and I never save for the last 2 hours. You know? Like that's why I don't use Premiere Pro anymore. So like there are times that like you just like, wow, I hate my hobby. And there are just that like when you transition to a side hustle, that I think that feeling amplifies a little bit more as compared to if it's just a passion project.
Yeah, so I think that's where like having a team comes in. So maybe by yourself, you face all these different challenges, but then when you get together with people who share that similar interest, but then maybe there are different parts that they're interested in. So like videography, like you can have multiple people interested in videography, but maybe one person is more interested in camera, being a cam op, one person who's interested in editing, one person is interested in sound. Like these are all essential parts of videography. And so when you can find this community of people who are interested in the same hobby, then it makes life a lot more fun. It kind of breathes new life into your hobby because you're not just doing it by yourself anymore. You got other people to do it with, and these people, they complement your weaknesses. You get to complement their weaknesses, and then together you create something that is so much better than you as one person can do by yourself. Yeah, so maybe as one person, you could have done it, but the quality of it is not going to be there as compared to when you do it with other people.
I agree. Actually, John Lim. I think I've asked this before, but like, what keeps you coming back to IMO, like, other than me? Because there are days that I know that you're like, wow, I really don't want to do an IMO episode. And there are days that I also sometimes I'm like, wow, I really just don't want to talk today. But you still have to do it every Thursday. So what keeps you
I'm just
going?
gonna put it out there that I feel that right now, our overthink dynamic is very clear to our audience.
Yeah.
So Alastair is one person, is one half of us that is clearly very rooted, much more rooted in reality than I am. Okay, I am much more of a dreamer than he is.
Yes.
So very simply, why I keep doing IMO, and there's only two reasons, two main reasons that I'm gonna say now, which is gonna sound like a cop out. One is because I have fun. Secondly, it's just because I like to talk. That's it. And this is why, right? People ask me for what I do IMO, right? Most of the time, I'll still tell them it's my passion project.
Okay.
It's still something that I do. Right? People ask what we actually do. I mean, we talk shit on the internet. That's as far as I would define it. And that's fine. And that's fine for me. I like it that way. You know, and this is why I don't necessarily agree with the like, cannot spend X number of time on words. It will not feel valuable. That one I totally understand how people might feel that.
Yeah.
But personally, I cannot with good conscience say that for things that I do as a passion project, I cannot do that. I tell you, if I've so many random hobbies that I either spend no time, or if I'm reignited, I spend all the damn time. And this is like what I mean by they don't need to be things that you hustle with. I give you an example. I like calligraphy. There was a time when my calligraphy was practiced and good enough that I considered selling posters because people appreciated them. I like playing video games. There are a number of video games that I'm pretty good at. People ask me to do live stream. People ask me to play Dota. I didn't think of doing those things. I like fountain pens. Right? I could do like a content regarding that. I'm not interested in that. There's so many things, you see? And this is what I mean by like because all these things are to me very side things. Right? I can either spend no time, like for example, recently I haven't written any calligraphy, I haven't painted anything, I haven't washed my pens for the longest time, excuse me. And that's fine.
Yeah.
And then when I rediscover them, I do them the entire month also, okay. And this is what I feel that is the way, right, people should approach passion projects at all time. And if you approach it this way, right, whether you make money or not makes no difference.
That's true, yeah.
It makes no difference. Yeah. And then if it does make money, that's where it's the bonus.
It's like it's just an extra thing that you're like, oh, swag.
Correct.
Nice. Okay.
Correct. Now, this is where we have to transition back to, let's say you talk about hustle culture. Hustle culture is a term that people like to say when they discover you have a skill at certain things, they will, out of goodwill, ask you, how come you never make money out of it? That's when I feel it gets a little bit, you start to question and start to dilute, because the fact that people ask you about this means there is possibly a market for it. But then you're like, whoa, more money, always better, right? Which is also true, right? I'd rather have 10 problems and more money than 10 problems and no money, right?
Yes.
So this is where it becomes a conundrum for people, because they're like, oh, how's my passion project going to survive? All that kind of thing. This is where you have to ask yourself this question, okay? Are you able to sustain this commitment now when it moves away from being a passion project?
Yeah.
Right? Are you able to suddenly don't want to do?
Yeah.
Can you, in good conscience, suddenly don't want to do? If the answer is yes, then that's fine. If the answer is no, and people ask why you cannot answer, that's when you have fallen for some of the more negative aspects of hustle culture.
I don't understand this. I don't have the same like motivations as John. I think maybe because I'm naturally not someone that likes to talk. Or I'm not someone who particularly, and I'm not saying I hate being on camera. I enjoy it once in a while, but it does get tiring after a while. But to me, what the enjoyment I get out of this, and the reason why I continue doing it, is because I love the consistency. I love the fact that every week I'm putting something out, and I have said this 1,000 times before, but like when I was not putting out creative content, I was like going crazy. Like I was really legit not like fully sane. I was like I was itching to do something, and it was really tough, like on my mental health. So like when I doing something does help me with that, and doing something creative. So that's where the value comes in for me, and that's the reason why every week on Thursday I come into this damn room and I turn on the lights, because I know that that's the value it brings me lah.
Yeah. And the thing is, right now, I feel that there's one more thing which I enjoy, which somehow became a thing, is the fact that our community, I mean, this is going to sound like another cop-out answer. I like want to carry balls with the community, but no, okay? I firmly believe that we have something special here in our community. Like, one other unique selling point for me about why I keep coming back is because this is the only community on YouTube so far that I know where our commenters are the opposite of toxic, which is so rare on the damn internet. I'm just like, damn, this is like our thing. You know, and I mean, to those people who are watching, you all can definitely attest to that, because you look at our comments, we do get the odd negative person once in a while, but I think these people are new. Everyone else is just like, I can disagree with you politely, I can agree with you politely, and I'm like, damn, is this the internet in 2021? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree lah. And I mean, I guess the whole point of the episode, we'll wrap it out real quick. We have 1 minute. I think the whole point of the episode is just to say like, find your reason lah. And your own reason to do your passion project. Find your own reason to do whatever you want to do. And if it sustains you, then just do it. Don't think too much about like the monetary wise. Don't think so much about whether society like values whatever you value. If you value it, you value it. The end. You don't need to think too much about like trying to make it, I guess, societally acceptable.
Yes.
Just enjoy it, have fun, and if money comes along the way, you feel better knowing that you did it your way. And that's what I value a lot also. I want to say that I did it my way. So
any final thoughts, John Teoh?
Yeah, definitely agree with what Alistair said, that it's way more rewarding that you did it your way and you made a little bit of money as opposed to selling out your creative idea, doing what everyone does, and then like getting big bucks from it. Because at the end of the day, it's the creative drive that's going to keep you going. No amount of money can replace that creative drive in you. And so, yeah, being able to retain that and continue doing to be able to continue doing that and then also getting something back from it, I think that's something is very valuable lah. And that you shouldn't trade it for anything.
Yes.
Yeah, that being said, like there are times that I slip into the whole like, man, John, we need to start earning money. And I start to talk to John about this, and John has always told me like, why are we thinking so much? Just have fun. This whole thing is just to have fun. Don't ruin it. And we have a good thing. You don't need to think too much about it. And yeah. I do have to like once in a while remind myself. So I'm not perfect. I'm not someone. I do have to take my own advice when it comes to the things I've said so far. But I think generally the values that we keep in here, at least for here at Overthink, is that we want to have fun and do good. And if anything comes along the line that makes us stray away from these two, I guess, pillars of why we do what we do, we won't do it. Simple as that. Because we want to be able to say that we did it our way. And there's value in that lah. And yeah. So if next time you see us monetize, it's because it fulfills one of these two. That we are either having fun while doing it, or we are doing good while having it, while doing it as well. So yeah, I think it's important to have these two, like the values you have down. And
it is lah. Yeah, and I think for the people who are watching, especially if you're curious about whether you should begin a side hustle properly, we'll ask yourself this question about whether you're able to properly sustain it as a hobby still, if it doesn't make money. And the next question to ask yourself is, if it makes money, are you able to commit to it like a commitment? Are you able to make it become a job? Because personally, I am someone who managed to convert my passion into my job, right? Which is why I work in TSL and I produce content. Essentially, I do the same thing at work, right? But I love it so much. It makes no difference to me. And if you're able to do that, then that's fine. And that is when your side hustle can become a proper side hustle to try to make you money. Because if it's not, then it's something that is still a bonus. You can drop it whenever you want. You want to take it whenever you want. You want to be neurotic with it as much as you can. That's fine. So that is where you shouldn't fall prey to hustle culture, which forces you to make your hobby something miserable.
Yes.
Right?
I agree.
So if you have access to give to your hobby and make it into a job, by all means. But if you do not have access, emotional and mental resources, then let your hobby stay a hobby and let your hobby be the thing that gives back to you instead.
Have fun. If you're not enjoying it, then there's no point. It will ruin everything for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my advice. Just a guy that likes to talk on YouTube.
I should take that some as well. There are days that I struggle with the man, like what am I doing? But but I know at the core of it, I will still continue doing this because of the value it gives me. So
yeah.
I mean, it's a whole journey. Then you guys can come along with the journey with me, lah. And
Yeah,
with that,
absolutely.
we should probably end this episode. It has been going on for way too long. We have crossed another 1 hour mark. I think we've crossed the hour mark. But
We definitely have, because based on my recording, which is the longest recording for everyone, we have definitely crossed the hour mark. So
Wow.
thank you everyone for
Thank you
watching.
guys so
We're so
much.
sorry that we went on and on and on and on. Right? Thank you so much, John Teoh, for being on the show with us today.
thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this as much as we did. And to our audience who are watching, please
Yes.
follow us on Instagram. You can check out the Socially Awkward podcast
Please
in
do.
the link in the description box below.
Yes.
And also follow us on Telegram. We try to engage with you as much as possible. And of course, like I mentioned in every episode, where there's a discussion, right? If you disagree with us, that's fine. We come here with our minds ready to be changed. But let's have a polite intellectual discussion in the
Yes.
comments section down below.
And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe and see you guys next week.
Yeah, you get to see 5 friends. Bye.
Bye.